The icy wind of Ottawa's St. Andrew's Church claws at my skin, but it's nothing compared to the venom slicing through my soul. This is my father's funeral, a General William Bennett, and I stand here, my uniform a shield of honor, medals screaming my sacrifices. But she steps in front of me, my stepmother, her black Chanel dress a mockery of grief. Your uniform is a filthy insult to his memory, she hisses, her eyes cold as a grave. Then my half-brother slinks forward, his smug grin dripping with contempt. Get out, you worthless scrap, he snarls, each word a dagger twisting in my chest. They're not just burying my father, they're trying to erase me, to crush his legacy under their polished heels. The pain is a wildfire, consuming every shred of my being, unbearable, unending. They think I'm broken. They're dead wrong. I'm Nora Bennett. I'm 38 years old, a major general, and today, I declare war on their lies. The frozen air of St. Andrew's Church lingers in my bones as I step away from Vivian's venom and Lucas's sneering face. My dress uniform, a second skin stitched with pride, feels heavier now, its navy fabric bearing the weight of my father's legacy. I'm a major general in the Canadian Forces, 38 years old, shaped by the windswept runways of CFB Kingston, where I grew up under my father's shadow. General William Bennett was a titan, a man who led peacekeeping missions in Bosnia and commanded respect from Ottawa to Kandahar. His creed, duty, honor, country, was the pulse of my life, carved into me at the Royal Military College in Kingston. But to Vivian Gagnon, my stepmother, and her son Lucas, I'm a ghost from his first marriage, a relic they've spent years trying to erase. I clutched the red waxed envelope in my gloved hand, its weight a silent promise from my father. Back at my hotel, a sterile room on Elgin Street, I trace the seal, my heart pounding like a war drum. Vivian, with her Montreal penthouse wealth, and Lucas, strutting in his tailored suits, have always seen me as an outsider. I remember a winter night in Kingston, 15 years ago, when I returned from a brutal training exercise at CFB Petawawa, 200 kilometers away. My muscles ached, but I craved the warmth of home, my father's maple-smoked brisket, his rare smile. Instead, I found a dark house, a note from Vivian on the counter, we're at a gala with the Minister of Defense. Find something in the fridge. Lucas had smirked then, too, tossing me a can of Molson like I was a stray dog. Don't expect a seat at the table, he said, his voice sharp as a skate blade. That night broke something in me, but today's insult at the church cuts deeper. My father didn't die of a heart attack, as the papers claimed. The envelope in my hand isn't just paper, it's a grenade, and I'm ready to pull the pin. Vivian and Lucas think they can bury me with their lies, but I'm Nora Bennett, and I was forged in fire. Whatever my father left me, it's not just his memory, it's a mission. The Ottawa night wraps around me like a shroud as I leave the hotel on Elgin Street, the red waxed envelope burning in my pocket. My father's death wasn't a heart attack, it was a cover-up, and I'm holding the key to his final truth. My boots crunch on the snow-dusted sidewalk, each step a vow to fight. But the war has already begun, and Vivian Gagnon and her son Lucas are leading the charge to bury me alongside my father's legacy. I drive 160 kilometers to Montreal, to the Gagnon family mansion in Westmount, a fortress of glass and stone that screams wealth and exclusion. The wrought iron gates gleam under the moonlight, a barrier as cold as Vivian's heart. I press the intercom, and her voice crackles through, smooth as ice on a frozen lake. What do you want, dear? She purrs, the word dripping with mockery. I'm here for my father's belongings, his medals, his journals, I say, my voice steady despite the rage boiling inside. A dry laugh echoes from the speaker. Oh, you poor thing. There's nothing for you here. William's will was clear, everything belongs to Lucas and me. The gate doesn't budge, but Lucas emerges, his tailored coat flapping like a vulture's wings. He's 32, a spoiled heir who's never known a day of struggle. His smirk is a blade, sharper than the one he wielded at the church. You're chasing ghosts, Nora, he says, leaning against the gate. Dad rewrote the will 6 months ago. You're not even a footnote. We sold his old junk, medals, papers, all of it, to some collector for pocket change. made room for my new home theater. His words hit like a grenade, shattering the last fragments of my father's memory. I clench my fists, nails biting into my palms, but I keep my face a mask of steel. You sold his life for a screen? I ask, my voice low, dangerous. Lucas laughs, a cruel, barking sound. Go back to your barracks, soldier. You don't belong here. I turn away, the humiliation of fire in my chest, but the envelope in my pocket is a lifeline. I drive to Beechwood Cemetery, Canada's national military resting place, where the gravestones stand like silent sentinels under a grey dawn. Colonel Pierre Dubois, my father's oldest friend, waits by General William's grave, his weathered face etched with grief. His parka is dusted with snow, and his eyes, sharp from decades in the Canadian forces, soften when he sees me. Nora, he says, his voice a gravelly whisper, your father knew they were coming for him. He presses a small, heavy object into my hand, a key card, its surface cold as the granite headstone beside us. He said to give this to you if he didn't make it. Find Ethan Roy. He's in the Laurentians, 100 kilometers north of Montreal. He'll know what to do. Pierre's grip tightens, a soldier's promise. William trusted you, Nora. You're his legacy, not them. The weight of the key card anchors me, but the ground shifts again when I return to Ottawa. A courier in a crisp uniform delivers a summons to my hotel, the envelope stamped with the Department of National Defense seal. I'm ordered to report to the Major General George R. Pierre's building immediately. The conference room is a sterile cage, its fluorescent lights buzzing like a swarm of wasps. 2 colonels, their faces carved from stone, sit across from me. Major General Bennett, the senior one, says, his voice flat, you're under investigation for leaking classified information. Effective immediately, you're suspended from all duties. My heart stops. They slide a form across the table, demanding my common access card, the plastic key to my identity, my bases, my life as a soldier. I pull it from my wallet, my fingers trembling, and place it on the table. The click of plastic on wood is a guillotine's fall. You'll be escorted out, the second colonel says, not meeting my eyes. As I walk through the Pierre's building's halls, my boots echoing on the polished floor, I feel the walls closing in. The key card from Pierre burns in my pocket, a flicker of hope in a storm of betrayal. Vivienne and Lucas think they've stripped me bare, but they've only sharpened my resolve. My father's death was no accident, and this investigation is no coincidence. Someone powerful wants me silent, but I'm not a ghost yet. I'm Nora Bennett, and I'm ready to make their lies bleed. The fluorescent lights of my Gatineau motel room flicker like a dying pulse, casting jagged shadows on the peeling wallpaper. I sit on the edge of a sagging bed, the key card from Colonel Pierre Dubois cold in my hand, its edges biting into my palm. Ottawa's skyline looms outside, 10 kilometers across the river, a glittering lie of power and prestige that has just spat me out. My common access card, the heartbeat of my life as a major general, is gone, surrendered in that sterile room at the Pierre's building. Without it, I'm no longer Nora Bennett, the soldier forged in the crucible of CFB Kingston. I'm just a woman, stripped bare, staring at a CBC News headline on my phone, disgraced Major General suspended amid security breach allegations. The words sear into me, a brand of betrayal. They've painted me as a traitor, a loose cannon unhinged by grief. My father, General William Bennett, would have fought this lie, but he's gone, his memory sold off by Vivienne and Lucas like cheap trinkets at a flea market. I close my eyes, and the past claws its way back, raw and unrelenting. It's December, 20 years ago, and I'm 18, trudging through 30 centimeters of snow to our family home in Kingston after a grueling cadet exercise at RMC. My body aches, but my heart is light, dreaming of my father's voice, his rare laugh over a steaming mug of Tim Hortons coffee. I push open the door, expecting warmth, the scent of pine and his signature poutine baking in the oven. Instead, the house is a tomb, dark, silent, the air heavy with absence. On the kitchen counter, a note in Vivienne Gagnon's elegant script, we're at a holiday reception with the Governor General. Dinner's in the fridge. Don't touch the good china. No warmth, no welcome. I found a single frozen poutine, its congealed cheese mocking my hunger for family. Lucas was there, lounging in his designer sweater, smirking as he sipped a Labatt Blue. "What, thought you'd get a hero's welcome," he taunted, his voice sharp as a skate on ice. "You're just Dad's charity case." That night, I ate alone, the cold fries sticking in my throat, my dreams of belonging shattered like ice on the St. Lawrence. Now, in this Gatineau motel, that old wound bleeds anew. The CBC article quotes an anonymous source, calling me emotionally unstable, unfit for command. I know that voice, it's Lucas, spinning his venom on a national stage. Last night, he was a guest on a right-wing podcast, his polished voice oozing fake sympathy. "My sister's a tragedy, really," he said, each word a calculated stab. "She's been broken by years in the field, lashing out with wild accusations to tarnish our father's legacy." The comments flood in, vicious and unrelenting. "Crazy soldier, ungrateful daughter, she's lost it." Each one is a bullet, tearing through the armor of my resolve. I hurl my phone across the room, its screen cracking against the wall like my own fracturing spirit. The key card lies on the bed, my father's last gift, but it feels like a cruel joke. What if I'm wrong? What if this mission is just a desperate grasp at a father who never truly saw me? The doubt creeps in, a poison Vivienne and Lucas planted long ago, now blooming in the dark. I slump against the headboard, the motel's stale air choking me. My uniform hangs in the closet, a lifeless husk of the soldier I was. Without my CAC card, I'm cut off from the forces, from my brothers and sisters in arms, from the life I built. Vivienne's laughter from that Montreal gate echoes in my mind, her voice a blade. "There's nothing for you here." Lucas's smug dismissal, selling my father's medals for a home theater, twists the knife deeper. The world believes their lies, and I'm alone, a ghost in my own story. My fingers trace the key card, its cold surface the only tether to my father's trust. But the weight of betrayal, by my family, by the forces, by the truth itself, crushes me. I'm Nora Bennett, but who am I without my duty? The darkness closes in, and for the first time, I wonder if they've won. If I'm truly broken. The Laurentian Mountains loom like silent giants, their snow-capped peaks swallowing the last of the dawn as I navigate a narrow dirt road 100 kilometers north of Montreal. The key card from Colonel Pierre Dubois burns in my pocket, a lifeline pulling me from the abyss of that Gatineau motel room. My Jeep's tires crunch over frozen gravel, the only sound in this desolate wilderness. I'm Nora Bennett, and though the Canadian forces have branded me a traitor, my father's final order, "Find Ethan Roy," drives me forward. The cabin appears, a dark speck nestled in a hollow, its weathered logs hiding a fortress within. Motion sensor cameras glint in the pines, and a Starlink dish angles toward the sky like a soldier standing watch. I cross an invisible line, and a metallic voice booms from the trees, "Private property. Leave now." My boots plant firm in the snow. I'm not turning back. The cabin's steel door creaks open, and Ethan Roy emerges, thin as a wire, his wild beard framing eyes that burn with paranoia. A Sig Sauer pistol gleams in his hand, aimed at my chest. "Who the hell are you?" he growls, voice rough from disuse. I hold up the key card, its surface catching the pale sunlight. "William Bennett sent me," I say, my voice steady despite the gun's cold stare. Ethan's eyes narrow, flicking to the card. He lowers the weapon, just an inch, and jerks his head toward the door. "Get inside. Quick." The cabin is a chaos of blinking servers, wires snaking across the floor like veins, the air thick with the hum of electronics and the bitter scent of burnt coffee. Ethan, a ghost from the Defense Intelligence Agency, moves like a predator, his fingers dancing over a keyboard. "Your father was a paranoid genius," he mutters, sliding the key card into a terminal. The screen flares to life, green code cascading like a digital waterfall. "They used a scorched earth algorithm on his files," Ethan says, his voice clipped, a briefing from a war zone. 7 overwrites, fragmented across decoy servers. Amateurs. His smirk is a flicker of defiance, mirroring my own buried rage. Hours pass, marked only by the crunch of snow outside and the rhythm of his typing. I brew a pot of Tim Hortons dark roast, its aroma grounding me in this alien world. Then, a breakthrough. Got it, Ethan breathes, his eyes locked on a file, Aurora Shield log. A single audio clip loads, and a voice, cold, precise, unmistakable, fills the cabin. William's a problem. Ensure he never testifies before Parliament, says General Mark Leclerc, his words a guillotine's blade. My blood freezes. This is no heart attack. My father was murdered. Ethan's fingers fly again, pulling up a voice recognition match. 99.8% probability it's Leclerc. My rage ignites, a wildfire swallowing the doubt from Gatineau. But there's more. A message arrives on Ethan's encrypted burner phone, coordinates for a dead drop in Ottawa's Bywood Market, 120 kilometers south. We drive through the night, the city's lights a stark contrast to the Laurentians' darkness. At a crowded cafe, a young man in a hoodie brushes past me, slipping a red USB drive into my hand before vanishing into the throng. Back at the cabin, I plug it into Ethan's laptop. A password prompt glares at me. I try everything, my father's birthday, his service number, nothing works. Think like a soldier, Ethan snaps, his eyes sharp. I close mine, picturing RMC, my father's proud nod at my graduation. My fingers type, duty honor country. The screen unlocks. A video loads. Captain Sophie Gautier's face appears, her dark eyes fierce but trembling. Major General Bennett, she says, her voice steady despite fear. If you're watching this, I'm gone. I was your father's aide. I copied the Aurora Shield server, arms deals, coded transfers, treason. Leclerc's cleaning house. Make my death mean something. The video cuts off, and my heart shatters. Sophie, a brilliant officer from CFB Valcartier, died in a car accident last week, 50 kilometers east of Quebec City. No accident. Another casualty in Leclerc's war. The USB holds files, financial records, encrypted orders, proof of Leclerc's betrayal, selling Canada's secrets for millions. My father knew, and it cost him his life. Sophie knew, and it cost hers. I grip the USB, my knuckles white. Vivienne and Lucas may have sold my father's memory, but Leclerc stole his life. I'm Nora Bennett, and this truth is my weapon. The war has just begun. The Laurentian cabin hums with the relentless pulse of Ethan Roy's servers, their green glow casting jagged shadows across his bearded face. My hands grip the red USB drive from Captain Sophie Gautier, its weight heavier than any rifle I've ever carried. The audio file of General Mark Leclerc's voice, William's a problem. Ensure he never testifies before Parliament, loops in my mind, a cold, calculated order to murder my father, General William Bennett. I'm Nora Bennett, a major general stripped of my rank, branded a traitor by the very forces I swore to serve. But tonight, in this snow-buried fortress 100 kilometers north of Montreal, I'm forging a weapon from the truth. Ethan's eyes, sharp as a hawk's, flick between monitors, his fingers a blur across the keyboard. We can't go to the press, I say, my voice a low growl, honed by years of command. Leclerc will bury it with denials, and Vivienne and Lucas will spin it as my madness. Ethan nods, a wolfish grin breaking through his paranoia. Then we hit them where they live. He isolates a 10-second clip of Leclerc's voice, stripped clean of static, each syllable a shard of glass. Ensure he never testifies. The clarity is chilling, a confession from a traitor's lips. This'll cut like a bayonet, Ethan says, his voice laced with grim satisfaction. Where do we plant it? I lean over his shoulder, the scent of burnt Tim Hortons coffee grounding me in this digital battlefield. Maple Sentinel, I reply, naming the encrypted online forum where Canada's military elite, active and retired officers, intelligence analysts, defense contractors, trade secrets like hockey cards. It's a shadow VFW hall, where a whisper can spark a firestorm in Ottawa by morning. Ethan's grin widens. Perfect. They'll tear Leclerc apart before he can blink. Using an anonymous account, routed through a VPN in Vancouver, he uploads the clip with a simple title, Whose voice is this? No context, no explanation, just a stone dropped into a still pond. We sit in the cabin's dim light, the monitors glow painting our faces, waiting for the ripples. The silence is thick, broken only by the wind howling through the Laurentians, rattling the cabin's steel door. Minutes crawl by, each one a lifetime. Then, a ping. A single comment on Maple Sentinel. Sounds like Leclerc. No way. Another follows. That's him. I'd know that smug tone anywhere. Within 30 minutes, the thread explodes. 2,000 views, 200 comments. A retired colonel from CFB Cold Lake writes, "I've sat in briefings with Leclerc for a decade. That's his voice, I'd bet my pension." A signals intelligence analyst posts a spectrogram, debating the waveform's authenticity. Journalists lurking on the forum fire off private messages, begging for the source. The pond is now a churning sea, and Leclerc's name is the eye of the storm. My pulse races, a drumbeat of vengeance. This is the first strike, and it's landed true. Ethan leans back, cracking his knuckles. "They're eating their own," he says, his voice a mix of awe and triumph. But Leclerc's not dumb. He'll counterattack. As if on cue, my burner phone buzzes with a news alert from CBC Ottawa, 120 kilometers south. Leclerc's office has issued a statement. "We are aware of a fabricated audio clip, likely generated by deepfake technology, intended to defame General Marc Leclerc's distinguished service." I read it aloud, my voice steady, but Ethan throws his head back and laughs, a raw, guttural sound that echoes off the cabin's walls. "The idiots," he crows, pointing at the screen. "They're so busy denying the tech, they forgot to deny the voice. They just admitted it's him." His laughter is infectious, and for the first time since the church, a spark of hope ignites in my chest. Vivienne and Lucas thought they could erase me, but this clip is a blade, and it's cutting deeper than they ever imagined. The victory is fleeting, though. Another alert pings. A Department of National Defense spokesperson calls the clip a malicious attempt to undermine Canada's security. My suspension is now headline news, splashed across every outlet from CTV to the Globe and Mail. The comment sections are a battlefield, with trolls echoing Lucas's podcast lies. "Crazy Nora's at it again." My jaw tightens, but the USB in my pocket, Sophie's sacrifice, pulses like a second heartbeat. My father's murder, Sophie's death, the Aurora Shield files, they're all connected, and Leclerc's panic proves it. I look at Ethan, his eyes gleaming with the thrill of the hunt. "This is just the opening shot," I say, my voice hard as Laurentian granite. "We've got their attention. Now we take the fight to their doorstep. I'm Nora Bennett, and I'm not a ghost anymore. I'm a soldier, and this war is mine to win." The Shaw Centre in Ottawa gleams like a cathedral of power, its glass walls reflecting the city's frozen skyline 120 kilometers south of Ethan Roy's Laurentian hideout. Tonight, the Army birthday ball fills its grand ballroom with Canada's elite, generals, senators, defense contractors, all swimming in a sea of dress uniforms and glittering gowns. I'm Nora Bennett, and my navy blue uniform, polished brass gleaming, is my armor. The red USB drive from Captain Sophie Gauthier burns in my pocket, its files, proof of General Marc Leclerc's treason, my sword. The Maple Sentinel forum is still ablaze with Leclerc's leaked audio, but tonight, I'm not whispering in shadows. I'm bringing the war to their doorstep. As I step through the entrance, a ripple of whispers cuts through the crowd. Eyes lock on me, the disgraced Major General, daring to walk among them. Vivienne Gagnon stands near the head table, her black sequin dress catching the chandelier's light, her smile a mask of venom. Lucas Gagnon, in a tailored tux, flanks her, his smirk as smug as ever. Leclerc, resplendent in his general's uniform, laughs with a senator, oblivious to the storm I'm about to unleash. The evening drags through speeches, each one a hollow tribute to the Canadian Forces' legacy. My father, General William Bennett, is mentioned in passing, his name a sanitized footnote in their pageant of power. My blood boils, but I wait, my hands steady on the remote in my pocket. The master of ceremonies steps to the podium, launching into a tribute to fallen heroes. His words are a lie, and I've had enough. I stride onto the stage, my boots echoing like gunfire on the polished floor. The MC freezes as I take the microphone, my grip iron tight. Forgive me, I say, my voice ringing through the ballroom sound system, clear as a winter morning. But this tribute is missing the truth. The room falls silent, 1,000 eyes boring into me. I lock gazes with Leclerc, his smile faltering. My father, General William Bennett, didn't die of a heart attack. He was murdered to silence a truth some in this room fear. A collective gasp slices through the silence. Vivianne's champagne flute trembles in her hand, her face paling beneath her flawless makeup. Lucas steps back, his eyes darting like a cornered animal. I press the remote, and the massive screens behind me, once displaying the Force's crest, flicker to life. Leclerc's voice booms, cold and merciless, "William's a problem. Ensure he never testifies before Parliament." The crowd freezes, the words a guillotine dropping in the stillness. Then, Sophie Gautier's face appears, her voice steady but laced with fear. "I copied the Aurora Shield server, arms deals, treason. Leclerc's cleaning house." The video cuts to documents, financial records, coded transfers, flashing across the screens, proof of Leclerc's betrayal in black and white. The ballroom is a graveyard, the air thick with shock. I speak again, my voice steel. 5 minutes ago, the unredacted Aurora Shield files were sent to the Department of National Defense Inspector General and every major news outlet, CBC, CTV, The Globe and Mail. Leclerc's face collapses, the arrogance draining like blood from a wound. Vivianne's flute shatters on the floor, the crash echoing like a gunshot. Lucas stumbles toward the exit, but the main doors swing open. For Canadian Forces military police officers march in, their red brassards stark against their uniforms, their faces grim as Laurentian stone. They move straight for General Marc Leclerc, their boots a unified drumbeat. General Marc Leclerc, the lead MP says, voice flat, "You're under arrest for treason and conspiracy to commit murder." The cuffs click, a sound sharper than any order I've ever given. Leclerc rises, his movements stiff, a fallen king stripped of his crown. The crowd parts, a silent sea of witnesses, as he's led away. Vivianne's eyes meet mine, her composure shattered, a queen dethroned. Lucas freezes at the door, his smugness gone, replaced by panic. I stand tall, my uniform a testament to my father's creed, duty, honor, country. The truth I've unleashed is a wildfire, and it's burning their empire to ash. I'm Nora Bennett, and this is my victory. But the war isn't over, not yet. The echoes of General Marc Leclerc's handcuffs still ring in my ears as I drive 200 kilometers east from Ottawa to Kingston, the city where my journey began. The Shaw Centre's ballroom, once a battlefield, is now a fading memory, its glittering chandeliers dimmed by the truth I unleashed. I'm Nora Bennett, no longer the disgraced Major General, but a soldier reclaimed, my uniform a badge of honor restored. The Department of National Defense issued a formal apology, delivered in person by the minister himself at CFB Kingston, 10 days after Leclerc's arrest. My suspension is lifted, my common access card returned, its plastic surface warm in my hand, a key to my identity reborn. The Aurora Shield files, sent to the Inspector General, exposed a web of corruption that shook Canada's military elite. Leclerc faces a closed tribunal, his legacy reduced to a cell in CFB Edmonton, 3,000 kilometers west. Vivianne Gagnon, the queen of Montreal's elite, has vanished, her Westmount mansion dark, her empire of lies crumbled. Lucas Gagnon, stripped of his inheritance, faces fraud charges, his tailored suits traded for an orange jumpsuit, his Maserati seized by federal agents. But victory feels hollow under Kingston's gray spring sky. The Royal Military College stands before me, its stone walls steeped in history, where my father, General William Bennett, once shaped me with his creed, duty, honor, country. Today, I'm here as the keynote speaker for the graduating class, 300 cadets in crisp gray uniforms, their eyes bright with the same fire I once carried. I step onto the stage in RMC's Curry Hall, the weight of my father's flag, folded from his casket, tucked under my arm. The air is thick with the ghosts of leaders past, from John and MacDonald to my own father. I set aside my notes, my voice steady as I faced the sea of young faces. You'll learn strategy here, I begin, my words echoing off the oak-paneled walls. You'll learn to lead, to follow orders. But the hardest lesson is this: your duty isn't just to the chain of command. It's to the truth, to the soul of this nation. When the system fails, when orders betray your oath, you must stand firm. The hall is silent, the cadets' eyes locked on me, some nodding, others gripping their chairs. I pause, my gaze sweeping the room. My father was silenced for the truth. Captain Sophie Gautier died for it. I was branded a traitor for it. But truth is a fire that cannot be extinguished. My voice cracks, not from weakness, but from the weight of their sacrifices. The applause begins, not polite, but a thunderous roar, a standing ovation that shakes the hall like a nor'easter off the Atlantic. As it fades, a young cadet approaches, her gray uniform pristine, her eyes blazing with nervous courage. "Major General Bennett," she says, her voice trembling but firm, clutching a program. "I'm Mia Pelletier. Could you sign this for my sister? I want her to know women can be warriors, too." Her words hit me like a warm wind, melting the ice of years spent fighting alone. I take the program, my hands steady, and smile, a real smile, unburdened by grief. "It's my honor, Mia," I say, signing my name with a flourish. As I leave the stage, Colonel Pierre Dubois, now retired, waits in the wings, his parka replaced by a suit, his face lined with pride. He hands me the flag from my father's casket, its stars and stripes folded tight. "William would be proud," he says, his voice low, a soldier's salute. I clutch the flag, its weight sacred, a final gift from a father who made me the key to his truth. I'm Nora Bennett, and in this moment, I find peace, not in victory, but in purpose. The war is over, but my mission endures, to carry the truth, to inspire those who follow, to ensure no soldier's sacrifice is forgotten. The Ottawa sunset spills across the Rideau Canal, its waters glinting like molten gold, 2 kilometers from the Shaw Center where I stood against General Marc Leclerc's empire of lies. I'm Nora Bennett, my Navy uniform still crisp, the folded flag of my father, General William Bennett, heavy in my hands, a sacred weight, a beacon of truth. The venom of Vivienne Gagnon's words, the cruelty of Lucas Gagnon's betrayal, once cut me deeper than any blade. The system branded me a traitor, stripping my common access card, my identity as a major general. But with Colonel Pierre Dubois's trust, Ethan Roy's relentless genius, and Captain Sophie Gautier's ultimate sacrifice, I unearthed the Aurora Shield conspiracy, a truth that burned brighter than their deceit. Standing here, 200 kilometers from the Royal Military College where Mia Pelletier's words reminded me of my purpose, I feel the scars of my war, each one a testament to a fight for justice, for my father, for those who believed in me. Have you ever felt your truth buried, your voice drowned by those who call you too much, too broken, too loud? Have you stood alone, your heart a battlefield, fighting to be heard? You are not invisible. Your story is a flame, unyielding, even in the coldest storm. I ask you, quietly, from one survivor to another, like this video if it stirred something in you. Drop a comment, share your own fight, let it echo. Subscribe to True North Courage, where we lift up voices like yours, stories of resilience that refuse to be silenced. Life lesson: the world may try to bury your truth, but it's yours to wield. Hold it tight, speak it clear, and let it light the way for others. You are enough, and your courage is Canada's heartbeat.